All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. How's it going out there in Happy Land? Oh, good looking, sexy people. How's your night going? Wherever you are, whoever you are, and whenever you may be receiving this transmission, welcome to the show. Hope y'all good looking, sexy people are doing all right out in Happy Land tonight. Memphis, Tennessee, almost 1 o'clock p.m. Los Angeles, California, 10:57. East of the Rockies, Denver, almost hitting the witching hour. 2 minutes to midnight for you, Denver. Dallas, Texas, looking like 2 minutes to 1. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you're receiving this transmission, I'm your host for the hour, Trader Francis Lunas Aristeas of the OTA, your Grand Wizard of the Esoteric Order of Dagon. All hail the Father Hydra. All hail the Father Dagon. All hail the Mother Hydra. Cthulhu has risen, Oftogel Multagen. Cthulhu really, Oftogel Noggin. Yeah, hope y'all good looking sexy people are doing well. I'm broadcasting to you from the central kingdom of the celestial dragon, deep in Twilight Zone, Old Peking, far behind the bamboo firewall. Running for my life over here, guys. Running for my life. Let's start it off with the adoration of Abraxas. Holy art thou, Lord of the universe, the vast and the mighty one, creator of heaven and earth, maker of all things visible and invisible, master of both the light and the darkness, he who was, is, and always shall be. We adore thee and we invoke thee. Send us one of your divine spiritual agents, our holy guardian angel, to protect and guide us through the innumerable snares of the earthly sphere and a cleansing wind, to disperse all negativity and endless human opinion. Teach us those things which we must know for the completion of the great work and the glory of thine ineffable name, Adonai. So it is commanded and confirmed, so mote it be. This is a transmission for the 100-day challenge, Pathways of Magic. If you don't know about it, get on top of it, man. Get in there and get at it. Check me out at www.buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. This is open lines for paranormal encounters. So if you be a wayfarer of the multiverse, let me know all about it. I'm trying to work out if this is a skit. Can you see my chat? 007, what's happening, 00? You doing all right out there in Happy Land tonight? Y'all good looking sexy people. Open line, paranormal encounters. Have you ever had a brush with the strange and the unusual? Has the supernatural penetrated into your ordinary mundane life? Have you seen a shadow running through the yard? Glowing red eyes peeking in through your window? Maybe a luminous, hairy, big-footed motherfucker traipsing through the woods, carrying off chillins. Strange and unusual leathery bat wings flopping in the ominous, otherwise untenanted gloom above you. A screech in the night. Yeah. Maybe that's happened to you. Maybe you've had an encounter with high strangeness, the unusual, the paranormal, the bizarre. Tell me all about it. Let me know what you're up to out there in Happy Land. Motherfucker hit the road, didn't he? He's like, I'm gonna ask a question, I'm gonna boot, I'm gonna dip, I'm gonna get on up out of here. Alrighty, right. Yeah, I was just watching a really cool Bigfoot Michigan Rob podcast. about the old Sasquatch, old Sassy himself. And I thought it was interesting. I thought I'd like to keep the party going, but I don't know if anybody followed me over here from Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Michigan Rob or not. Don't know. If you have, welcome. If it's your first time, don't let it be your last time. Check back often. Hit the like and subscribe. All that happy horse shit that keeps YouTube's algorithms barking like Pavlov's dog. Woof, woof. Motherfucking barking like Pavlov's dog. Yeah, let's get into it. So, this is where we left off with Robert Bloch. That's what we were talking about last time we were here. It's open panel, guys. If you want to join the show, just let me know. Let me know. I'll put the link in there. 007 booted. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. There it is there. Got the StreamYard link for anybody who wants to share one of their paranormal encounters with me. I'd love to hear from you. Just let me know. Let me know. We left off here. Robert Bloch, page 2. I wanted to write a real story, not the stereotypical, ephemeral sort of garbage that was churned out in the Pulp Fiction magazines, but a real work of art. The creation of such a masterpiece became my only ideal. I pursued it with passion and vigor. Was there anything else truly worth writing about? I was not a good writer, but that was not entirely due to my errors in mechanical style. No, just young and inexperienced. It was, I felt, the fault of my subject matter. Vampire, Nosferatu, creature of the night, werewolves, ghouls, all mythological monsters. These things constitute material of little merit. Commonplace imagery, ordinary adjectival treatment, and prosaically anthropocentric point of view were the chief detriments to the production of a really good weird tale. Do you agree or disagree? What do you think about Robert Bloch here? What he's saying? What's he saying anyway, yo? What's that man going on about? I must have new subject matter. I must. Bring me the new subject matter, guys. Where's it at? What about your paranormal encounter? Tell me all about it, man. Jump on in here. Let me know what you've been up to. Let me know about if the spooky, creepy crawlies have gotten to you in your bed at night. When you're lying down. A night of fright. I longed, if only I could consider something that was teratologically incredible. I longed to learn the songs the demons sing as they sweep between the stars, or hear the voices of the old gods as they whisper their secrets to the echoing void. I yearned to know the terrors of the grave. The kiss of maggots on my tongue, the cold caress of rotting bones, blackened and yellowed in the night, and the rotting shroud upon my body, its cold caress. I thirsted for knowledge that lies in the pits of mummied eyes, and burned for wisdom known only to the worm. Der Vermis Mysterios. Then I could really write, and only then, and only then would my hopes be truly realized. I sought a way. Quietly I began a correspondence with isolated thinkers and dreamers all over the country. There was a hermit in the western hills, a savant in the northern wilds, a mystic dreamer in New England, and I, myself, professor of metaphysics at Miskatonic University in Twilight Zone, Old Peking. It was from the latter that I learned of the ancient books that hold strange lore. He quoted guardedly from the legendary Necronomicon, and spoke timidly of the Book of Aeon that was reputed to surpass it in the utter wildness of its blasphemous content. He himself had been a student of these volumes of primeval dread and horror, but he did not want me to search too far. Oh no, he said I mustn't pierce beyond the veil. He had heard many strange things as a boy in witch-haunted Arkham, where the old shadows still leer and creep. And since then, he had wisely shunned the blacker knowledge of the forbidden. At length, after much pressing on my part, he reluctantly consented to furnish me with the names of certain persons he deemed able to aid me in my quest for the horrible and unnameable. He was a writer of notable brilliance and wide reputation among the discriminating few, and I knew he was keenly interested in the outcome of the whole affair. As soon as his precious list came into my coveted possession, I began a widespread postal campaign in order to obtain access to the desired volumes. My letters went out to universities, private libraries, reputed seers, and the leaders of carefully hidden and obscurely designated cults. But I was foredoomed to disappointment. The replies I received were definitely unfriendly, almost hostile. Evidently, the rumored possessors of such lore were angered that their secret should be thus unveiled by a prying stranger. I was subsequently the recipient of several anonymous personal threats through the mail, via email, and even text messaging. And I had one very alarming phone call. This did not bother me nearly so much as the disappointing realization that my endeavors had failed. Denials, evasions, refusals, and even life-threatening confirmations. This would not aid me. I must look elsewhere. The bookstores, perhaps. On some dusty, musty, and dusty old forgotten shelf, I might discover what I sought. There were purveyors of curios and old books. I visited them often. I began an interminable crusade. I learned to bear my numerous disappointments with unflinching calm. Nobody in the common run of shops seemed ever to have heard of the frightful Necronomicon, the evil Book of Aeon, or the disquieting Côtes des Ghouls. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. In a little old shop in South Dearborn Street, amidst dusty shelves seemingly forgotten by time, I came to the end of my search. There, securely wedged between two century-old editions of Shakespeare, stood a great black volume with iron facings. Upon it, in hand-engraved lettering, was the inscription, Der Vermis Mysterious, or Mysteries of the Worm. The proprietor could not tell me how it had come into his possession. Years before, perhaps, it had been included in some second-hand job lot. He was obviously unaware of its nature, for I purchased it with a single dollar bill. He wrapped the ponderous item for me, well pleased at this unexpected sale, and bade me a very satisfied good day. I left hurriedly, the precious prize grasped securely under my arm. What a find! I had heard of this book before. Ludwig Prynne was its author, who had perished at the inquisitorial stake in Brussels when the witchcraft trials were in their height. A strange character, the alchemist, necromancer, reputed mage. Sorry, got lost. He boasted of having attained a miraculous age when he at last suffered a fiery immolation at the hands of the secular arm. He was said to have proclaimed himself the sole survival of the ill-fated Ninth Crusade, exhibiting as proof certain musty documents of attestation. It is true that a certain Ludwig Bryn was numbered among the gentlemen retainers Montserrat in the olden chronicles, but the incredulous branded Ludwig as a crack-brained impostor, though perchance a lineal descendant of the original warrior. Ludwig attributed his sorcerous learning to the years he had spent as a captive among the wizards and wonder-workers of Syria, and glibly he spoke of encounters with jinn and efreets of elder Eastern myths. He is known to have spent some time in Egypt, and there are legends among the Libyan dervishes concerning the old seer's deeds in Alexandria. At any rate, his declining days were spent in the Flemish lowland, possibly hanging out with Jean-Claude Van Damme. The country of his birth, where he resided, appropriately enough in the ruins of a pre-Roman tomb that stood in the forest near Brussels. Ludwig was reputed to have dwelt there amidst a swarm of familiars and fearsomely invoked conjurations. Manuscripts still extant speak of him guardedly as being attended by invisible companions and star-sent servants. Peasants shunned the forest by night, for they did not like certain noises that resounded to the moon. And they most certainly were not anxious to see what worshipped at the old pagan altars that stood crumbling in certain of the darker glens. Be that as it may, these creatures that he commanded were never seen after Prince's capture by the Inquisitor minions. Searching soldiers found the tomb entirely deserted, though it was thoroughly ransacked before its destruction. The supernatural entities, the unusual instruments and compounds, all had most curiously vanished. A search for the forbidden woods and a timorous examination of the strange altars did not add to the information. There were Jesus Christ, readers aside, sorry about that. There were fresh bloodstains on the altar and fresh bloodstains on the rack, too, before the questioning of Bryn was finished. A series of particularly atrocious tortures failed to elicit any further disclosures from the silent wizard, and at length the weary interrogators ceased and cast the aged sorcerer into a dungeon. It was in prison while awaiting trial that he penned the morbid, horror-hinting lines of Der Vermis Mysterious, known today as Mysteries of the Worm. How it was ever smuggled through the alert guards is a mystery in itself, but a year after his death, it saw print in Cologne. It was immediately suppressed, but a few copies had already been privately distributed. These in turn were transcribed, and although there was a later censored and deleted printing, only the Latin original is accepted as genuine. Throughout the centuries, a few of the elect had read and pondered on its lore. The secrets of the old Archmage are known today only by the initiated, and those discouraged all attempts to spread their fame for certain definite reasons. See here, we got a visitor out in Happy Land. Good to see you, Darkseed. Okay, not exactly sure what that means, but let's have a look. Darkie's side-eye. I wonder if Bigfoot takes a huge dump in the woods. Yeah, I would imagine. Right. That dude's eating nuts and berries all day, and the flesh of your children, grinding it from their bones, supping at it. I'm sure he's a good enough cook to really get your stolen child boiled down to a delicious and falling off the bone type of delicacy. Let's see, where do we leave off? For certain definite reasons. This, in brief, was what I knew of the volume's history at the time it came into my possession. As a collector's item alone, the book was a phenomenal find, but on its contents I could pass no judgment. It was in Latin. Since I can speak or translate only a few words that learned tongue, I was confronted by a barrier as soon as I opened its musty pages. It was maddening to have such a treasure trove of dark knowledge and black magic at my command, and yet lock the master key to its unearthing. For a moment I despaired, since I was unwilling to approach any local classical or Latin scholar in connection with such a hideous and blasphemous text. Then came an inspiration. Why not take it east and seek the aid of my friend? He was a student of the classics and would be less likely to be shocked by the horrors of Ludwig von Prince's baleful revelations. Accordingly, I addressed a hasty letter to him, and shortly thereafter received my reply. He would be glad to assist me. I must come by all means at once. Oh, happy day! Now I had a cohort and confederate in my nefarious necromantic inquiries. Providence is a lovely town. My friend's house was ancient and quaintly Georgian. The first floor was a gem of colonial atmosphere. The second, beneath antique gables that shadowed the enormous window, served as a workroom for my host. It was here that the two of us, high on opium and indulging in the strongest tobaccos of Virginia, pondered that grim, eventful night last April. Here, beside the open window, as I drank a strong Kentucky bourbon that overlooked the azure sea, it was a moonless night, and I thought I saw the shadow of a witch streak across the sky, howling and cackling.
I'll be the president in 2028, my pretty.
Haggard and wan with a fog that filled the darkness with bat-like shadows and that witch's croning. In my mind's eye I can see it still, the tiny lamplit room filled with voluminous wafts of the finest tobacco. I can even taste that Kentucky bourbon on my tongue still. The big table, the high-backed chairs, the bookcases bordering the walls, the manuscripts stacked in special files. My friend and I, puffing our cigars, Cubans I believe, sat at the huge wooden table, the volume of mystery before us, its pages open. His lean profile threw a disturbing shadow on the wall, and his waxen face was furtive in the pale light. There was an inexplicable air of portentous revelation, quite disturbing in its potency. I sensed the presence of secrets waiting to be revealed. My companion detected it too. Long years of occult experience had sharpened his intuition to an uncanny degree. It was not cold that made him tremble as he sat there in his chair. It was not fever that caused his eyes to flame like twin jewels incarnate in fires. He knew even before he opened that accursed tome that it was evil. The musty scent that rose from those antique pages carried with it the reek of the tomb. The faded leaves were maggoty at the edges, and rats had gnawed at the leather. Rats which perchance had a ghastlier food for common fare. I had told my friend the volume's history that afternoon, and had unwrapped it in his presence. Then he had seemed willing and eager to begin an immediate translation. Now he demurred. It was not wise, he insisted. This was evil knowledge. Who could say what demon-dreaded lore these pages might contain, or what ills befall the ignorant who sought to tamper with their contents? It is not good to learn too much. And men died for exercising the rotted wisdom that these leaves contained. He begged me to abandon the quest while the book was still unopened, and to seek my inspiration in saner things. I was a fool. Hastily, I overruled his objections with vain and empty words. I was not afraid. Let us at least gaze into the contents of our prize. I began to turn its pages, gently, one by one. The result was disappointing. It was an ordinary-looking volume after all, yellow, crumbling leaves set with heavy black-lettered Latin texts. That was all. No illustrations, no alarming designs, no blood-spattered pages, no random lumps of hair from devious fiends of the pit. My friend could no longer resist the allurement of such a rare bibliophilic text. In a moment, he was peering intently over my shoulder, occasionally muttering snatches of Latin phrasing. Enthusiasm overmastered him at last. Seizing the precious tome in both hands, he seated himself near the window and began reading paragraphs at random, occasionally translating them into English. His eyes gleamed with a feral light. His cadaverous profile grew intent, and a rictus grin came to his gash of a maw as he pored over the moldering ruins. Sentences thundered in fearsome litany, then faded into tones below a whisper as his voice became as soft as a viper's hiss. I caught only a few phrases now, for in his introspection he seemed to have forgotten me. He was reading of spells and enchantments. I recall allusions to such gods of divination as Father Yig, Etharax, Dark Han, Hastor, the King in Yellow, and serpent-bearded Biatis. I shuddered, for I knew these names of old, but I would have shuddered more had I known what was to come. It came quickly. Suddenly he turned to me in great agitation. His excited voice was shrill. He asked me if I remembered the legends of Prin's sorcery and the tales of the invisible servants he commanded from the stars. I assented, little understanding the cause of his sudden frenzy. Then he told me the reason. Here, under a chapter on familiars, he had found an orison, or spell, perhaps the very one Prin had used to call upon his unseen servants from beyond the stars. Let me listen while he read. I sat there dully, like a stupid, uncomprehending fool. Why did I not scream, try to escape, or tear that monstrous manuscript from his hands? Instead, I sat there while my friend, in a loud, cracked voice with unnatural excitement, read in Latin a long and sonorously sinister invocation. Tibi magnum inaminandum signa stellarum nigrarum et buffoniformis sadoque sigillam. The croaking ritual proceeded, then rose on wings of nighted, hideous horror. The words seemed to wreathe like flames in the air, burning into my brain. The thundering tones cast an echo into infinity. Beyond the farthermost star, they seemed to pass into primal and undimensioned gates, to seek out a listener there and summon him to the earth. Was it all an illusion? I did not pause to ponder, for that unwitting summit was an was answered. Scarcely had my companion's voice died away in that little room before the terror came. The room turned cold. A sudden wind shrieked in through an open window, a wind that was not of earth. It bore an evil bleating from afar, and at that sound, my friend's face became pale white mask of newly awakened fear. Then there was a crunching at the walls, and the window ledge buckled before my staring eyes. From out of the nothingness beyond that opening came a sudden burst of lubricious, not familiar with that word, readers aside, came a sudden burst of lubricious laughter, a historical cackling born out of utter madness. It rose to the grinning quintessence of all horror, without mouth to give it birth. The rest I dare not tell at this time, dear listener. The rest is far too horrible of a tale to share with you at the present moment. For I must, in all humility, tell you to join me at www.buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. Pull a something in the tip jar. I hope y'all are doing well out there in Happy Land tonight. I am, as always, your friend and well-wisher. Y'all good-looking sexy people, stay well as we wander into the abodes of the future ad astra. Prospera. Keep doing good magic until next we meet. Stay well and be wary of shadows that lurk in the night. Make sure you guys hit the likes for the old UEUs. You know the U's are out there and they're trying to get you. That'll keep you barking like Pavlov's dog. Y'all good-looking sexy people. Broadcasting to you from the Central Kingdom of the Celestial Dragon in Twilight Zone, Old Peking. I have been your host for the hour, Fredo Francis Lunas Aristeas of the OTA, far behind the bamboo firewall. Until next time.